everyone.
What's going on, my friends? I am here today to discuss a little bit of Babylon 5 news that has finally come out. And while I say finally come out, I do mean that a little pensively because there is still a lot more to be gleaned from this. There's a lot of things that haven't been revealed yet, and there's still a lot of things that we need to know about who and what is involved in this. But we have finally been given the confirmation by J. Michael Straczynski himself that the Babylon 5 continuation, I suppose, is happening. Whether or not this is a reboot, a requel, a 100% in-continuity continuation, it seems it's been confirmed that it will be taking place in the pre-established Babylon 5 universe, and that's actually kind of good news and a little bit questionable news. So we know from original B5 stuff, JMS was 100% involved in basically every aspect of that. All of the ancillary content, the novels, the comic books, even role-playing games, all of that stuff had input and was considered canon to this universe because everything was basically created and achieved through JMS in his mind. So everything was 100% part of the same canon. There aren't any real wibbly-wobbly shenanigans as far as who and what can count as canon. That is also the interesting way he was able to bring in and remove characters from the show because they built in these pre-existing trapdoor outs for people that couldn't take place in the show anymore. And that's what leads me to part of the questioning here. But before I get to all that, let's actually see what he said. So you can see here, and I'm going to read a couple of things that he tweeted. Babylon 5 animated movie is coming out from Warner Brothers Animation and WB Home Entertainment. No mention on whether or not that it will go to HBO streaming or Max streaming or whatever that takes the form of in the next few months, because that seems to also be in flux right now with that whole merger thing. But this says right here, classic B5, raucous, heartfelt, nonstop, and a ton of fun through time and space, and it's a love letter to the fans. The movie title, release date, and all those details will be coming 1 week from today. So I am assuming this is in order to get all the fan hype, all the speculation going. And here's why I said it may present a questionable problem that he seems to have a history of solving. So being what this show is, with the cast this show included, for all of the contemporary sci-fi shows coming out at the same time, this one has had a pretty tragic history as far as the cast goes. We're missing a lot of those key people. They've died, or a couple of them fairly recently, actually, so whether or not they were able to record their voices before this announcement, before all of this went into action, I'm not positive. But because JMS has always had this consistent ability to build in exits for characters, to build in reintroductions of characters who we haven't seen in a long time, I'm not sure if that will matter, or potentially, since it's animated, perhaps they'll do some sort of recast on the voice, get a sound-alike, do something within universe to make this character played by a different voice make sense, some sci-fi shenanigans or something like that. I'm not sure if I would feel decent about that, especially if this is supposed to be the springboard to a new continuing adventure, but that all remains to be seen. In the here and now, it's just good news that the actual Babylon 5 universe that we've come to know and love is getting continued in an animated form, and I'm picturing this obviously in a completely different vein, like those two continuation movies of the 1966 Batman that we saw from Warner Brothers years back, with Adam West, Burt Ward, and some of the other original characters reprising their roles. Obviously, some of the characters who had passed away or were no longer available were recast for that, but I think this could be something in a similar vein, especially since he 100% says here it's a love letter to the fans, and it's a continuation of the same love and respect and nature of the show. So I think that with him in charge, even though we've had 20 years, 30 years intervening between these original episodes and now, I do think we'll at least get the semblance of the same continuity and the same feeling, even if things are a bit updated for more modern tastes, however you want to call that. And then we have a little bit more that he wanted to add to this. To be clear, this is a brand new and original animated movie. It's already finished, and it's 100% real, happening and coming out very soon. So this isn't an announcement. It's not, we're still figuring things out. This is done. We've got this in the can. We just need to deal with all the details on how and where it's coming and all of that stuff. So it's not as if we're still trying to get people on board. It's happening. it's completed, it's ready to go. So that lends a little bit of credence to the fact that some of the characters who have recently died may have actually recorded stuff prior to this, although it is a bit wishy-washy on why that wouldn't have come out if they were actually recording stuff. But I do digress because, as of right now, most of this is wild speculation. This is just some good news right now. For a lot of people, there's kind of this little feeling that some of the sci-fi we're getting right now isn't up to snuff compared to what we got before. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with a Babylon 5 continuation with the actual original creator and in the actual original continuity. So we've got Star Trek going right now. There's several different shows, several different tones, several different opinions on how those fit into things. Star Wars is creating its own side thing right now with all their shows that people are having issues with. Stargate seems to be unable to get off the ground, and especially now with the writer's strike, that seems further away than ever. So to actually have a continuation, a canonized version of a pre-existing sci-fi established show with the original creators in the original timeline, at least that's what it appears to be, is actually kind of some refreshing news. Hopefully this feels good, it looks good. I mean, hell, an animated adventure is definitely going to have a leg up on all of those outdated CGI effects from the original. Not that I care too much about that, because they were made when they were, and that's part of the charm of the show, but this is probably going to be the biggest and the best effects of the show that we've ever seen. And whether or not that's a springboard to an ongoing series after that, whether or not it's a final love letter, a final coda to a show, and all of these characters who we actually lost in I almost said live action. I meant real life. Whatever I'm trying to say here. But this could be exactly what us sci-fi fans need in an era where everything is so divisive because new creators are coming in and putting their own spin on things. It'll be nice to get a nice love letter to the original in a similar vein to what we just got with Picard. I know a lot of people were kind of divided on that as well, but I felt like it was actually a personalized love letter statement to the next generation. Hopefully this Babylon 5 show will be just that, especially with the original creator who spent his entire, well, I was going to say his entire life, but his entire career since that moment being involved in this universe with these characters. He would be, out of anyone, the person capable of shaping these characters into the future versions of themselves that they were 100% intended to be. And if he decides to throw in some new characters, which I have to imagine he will, I'm hoping they'll become fan favorites, and maybe that'll be the springboard, I already said springboard way too many times, I'm sorry about that, into who we're dealing with in the future of this series. Obviously, the whole point of the show wrapped things up in that time jump, so will this be a story taking place between that, or will this just be a fun side mission? Well, to be clear, he did mention it's not actually a side tangent. It's a real respectful version of the universe, so that is good to know as well. But maybe this will be a new adventure catapulting new characters and old characters into something we can follow up on in a live-action version, assuming all of these weird shakeups at the CW, HBO, Warner Brothers, the writer's strike, all that settles down in due course. Maybe we'll actually get that back on our screens. But all of that aside, what do you guys think? Is this good news? Is this what you were expecting? Is just kind of out there? I know a lot of people aren't into the animation thing, so a lot of people are probably going to be a bit let down by this, or at least a bit unimpressed. I personally think it has the potential to at least get the foot in the door and provide something fantastic. Like I said, similar to those end movies with the Adam West version of Batman years and years and years after the fact. Clearly the characters were too old to play themselves in live action, although we did see Burt Ward reprise Robin in Crisis. The less said about that, the better right now. But I think this could be exactly what we need, even if it isn't exactly what I wanted. Leave all your thoughts below, like, share, subscribe, ding the bell, leave any comments you want. This is probably the first time I've actually talked about Babylon 5 extensively here, so any questions you have for me, anything you want to leave down below, do that. But until next time, you all are the last best hope.